I've been sitting at this table for 7 minutes, staring at the scratches in the oak grain. I put some of them there myself when I was 9, dragging a metal toy car back and forth while everyone else argued about something I can't remember now. My mother scolded me then, told me I ruined something beautiful, something that belonged to all of us. I apologized for weeks. The scratches are still here. So am I. My mother clears her throat, and I feel that old reflex kick in, spine straightening, shoulders back, face arranging itself into something attentive and apologetic all at once. It's Sunday dinner at my parents' house in suburban Dayton, the same ritual we've performed every other week for as long as I can remember. Lauren sits across from me, checking her phone with practiced casualness, her nails perfect, her expression unreadable. My father stares at his plate like it might offer him escape. Emily, and my mother says, and there's that particular tone in her voice, the one that sounds warm but lands cold. We need to talk about something important. I set down my fork carefully. I've learned not to make sudden movements during these conversations. Your father and I have been presented with an opportunity, as she continues, glancing at Lauren, who nods encouragingly. A real estate investment. Something that could finally give us some security after all these years. The word of finally has weight. It always does when she uses it. Finally, after everything we've sacrificed. Finally, after all we've given. The subtext is never subtle. Finally, after you. It's a really solid opportunity, Lauren adds, leaning forward with that big sister protectiveness that always precedes something I won't want to hear. We've all been talking, and we think it's time you contributed something meaningful to the family. I feel my chest tighten, that familiar sensation of the room growing smaller. What kind of contribution? My mother folds her hands on the table, her wedding ring catching the light from the chandelier she bought at an estate sale 15 years ago. She tells the story of that chandelier often, how she negotiated, how she restored it herself, how she has an eye for value that others lack. We need $32,000. The number lands like a physical blow. 32,000. The exact amount I have saved. The exact, specific, impossible to be coincidental amount. How did you, I start, but Lauren cuts me off. Mom ran into Diane Westbrook at the grocery store. You remember Diane? She works at First National. Lauren's voice is light, conversational, as if she's discussing the weather. She mentioned you've been doing really well with your savings. Mom was so proud, We all were. Diane Westbrook. I opened my savings account 7 years ago, chose that bank specifically because it was across town, because I thought I could have something that was mine. I should have known better. In a city like Dayton, in circles like ours, privacy is a myth. That money, I stopped myself. Even now, even after everything, I can't quite bring myself to claim ownership. I've been saving that for a long time. Exactly, and my mother says, and she's smiling now, that smile that's supposed to convey warmth but mostly conveys expectation. You've been saving it, and now it can be used for something that benefits all of us. That's what family does, honey. We support each other. My father shifts in his seat. I glance at him, hoping for something, a word, a look, an acknowledgement that this isn't normal. But he's cutting his pot roast into smaller and smaller pieces, his jaw tight, his eyes fixed downward. I don't understand, I say slowly, though I understand perfectly. What's the investment? A rental property, my mother explains. Well, it needs some work first, but Lauren knows someone who can do the renovations at cost, and then we'll rent it out. The income will be distributed among all of us, of course. Proportionally. Do you have a business plan? The question comes out before I can stop it. Or documentation about the property? Inspection reports? Lauren laughs, but there's an edge to it. This is family. M, not some corporate merger. We don't need paperwork between us. We need trust. Trust. The word they always use when they mean compliance. I need some time to think about it, I say, and I can hear how weak my voice sounds, how apologetic. Think about what? My mother's smile hasn't changed, but something behind her eyes has. Emily, sweetheart, I think you're forgetting something. Your father and I raised you. We fed you, clothed you, paid for your education. We gave up opportunities because of you. Real opportunities. Do you know I had a chance to expand the boutique right when I found out I was pregnant? I was 40 years old. I'd finally built something. And I had to put it all on hold. Our surprise, Lauren adds softly, and they both smile like it's an endearment. I've heard this story my entire life. The boutique that could have been a chain. The expansion deal that fell through. The career my mother sacrificed because I had the audacity to be conceived. She never says it directly, she's far too sophisticated for that, but the message has been clear since I was old enough to understand. I am the reason for her disappointments, and I owe her recompense. I never asked you to give anything up, I say, and immediately I know it's the wrong thing to say. My mother's face does something complicated, hurt and anger and disappointment all at once. That's exactly the kind of selfish thinking that worries me, Emily. You never asked. Children don't get to ask. They receive, and then, if they have any gratitude, any sense of responsibility, they give back. We're not trying to make you feel bad, Lauren says, and her tone is so reasonable, so measured. We're just trying to help you see the bigger picture. You've always been a little narrow in your thinking. Good with tasks, bad with strategy. That's why you're in administration instead of management, right? You're just not wired for big picture thinking. I want to argue. I want to tell them that I've been promoted twice in 3 years, that my supervisor Linda calls me the most reliable coordinator the department has ever had, that I manage complex scheduling for 17 physicians and handle crisis logistics with efficiency that others can't match. But the words stick in my throat, trapped beneath years of being told I'm capable of following directions but not much else. I just need to think about it, I repeat. While you're thinking, and my mother says, standing to clear plates even though we're not finished, there's something else we should discuss. Your father and I have been talking with Lauren, and we think it might be wise for us to become joint signatories on your accounts. I go very still. What? Just as a safety measure, Lauren explains. In case something happens to you. And honestly, you're not great with money management. We all know that. Remember when you bounced that check to the dentist? I was 22. The bank made an error. It was corrected within 48 hours. But they've been referencing it for 7 years like it's evidence of fundamental incompetence. We're not trying to control you, and my mother continues, running water in the sink with her back to me. We're trying to protect you. And frankly, if you're going to be part of this investment, it makes sense for us to have more transparency. We'd also like you to consider giving us power of attorney. Just for financial matters. Just so we can help manage things properly. The room tilts slightly. Power of attorney. Joint accounts. $32,000. This isn't about an investment opportunity. This is about control. Total, absolute control. I need to go, I say, standing so quickly my chair scrapes against the floor. Emily. My mother turns, her hands dripping soap suds. Don't be dramatic. I'm not. I just I have work tomorrow. Early meeting. It's a lie. I don't have an early meeting. But I need air, I need space, I need to be somewhere they aren't. Lauren walks me to the door, her arm around my shoulders in a gesture that probably looks affectionate from the outside. Think about what we said, okay? And don't make this harder than it needs to be. We're family. Family takes care of each other. I drive home to my apartment in silence, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I've lived in the same one-bedroom for 5 years, kept my rent low, my expenses lower. Every month, after I pay my bills and send the mandatory household contribution my mother instituted on my 18th birthday, I put whatever I can into that savings account. Sometimes it's $500. Sometimes it's $50. For 7 years, I've been building something. I didn't know what it was for. I just knew I needed it. Now I know. It's for escape. Inside my apartment, I sit on the floor of my living room and try to remember when this started. When did their requests become demands? When did family obligation become financial exploitation? I think about my 18th birthday, when my mother presented me with an itemized invoice for my childhood. She called it a joke, but she wasn't joking. Room and board, food, clothing, Christmas presents, birthday parties, all tallied with precision. You don't have to pay it all at once, as she'd said, laughing. But now that you're an adult, it's time to contribute. I started with $200 a month. Then $300. Then emergencies started arising. Lauren's car broke down. Could I help? The roof needed repairs. Could I chip in? My mother's boutique inventory needed restocking. Surely I could spare something? Every time I saved a little extra, they found a reason I should share it. And I did. Every single time. Because what kind of daughter doesn't help her family? I call Aunt Patty at 10:30 that night, knowing she'll still be awake. She answers on the second ring, her voice gravelly and warm. What's wrong? I tell her everything. The dinner. The demand. The joint accounts, the power of attorney, the way they knew exactly how much I'd saved. When I finish, there's a long silence. Your mother called me last week, Patty finally says. First time in 8 months. Wanted to know if I thought you'd been acting strange lately. I told her you seemed fine to me, and she got angry. Said I never understood family responsibility. Why would she ask you that? Because she's setting up a narrative, honey. If you say no, you're not just refusing to help. You're being selfish, ungrateful, possibly mentally unstable. She's building a case. My throat feels tight. A case for what? For why she needs access to your money. For why you can't be trusted to manage your own life. Patty sighs, and I can picture her in her small house across town, surrounded by the books and plants my mother calls clutter. Emily, I need to tell you something I should have told you years ago. When your mother found out she was pregnant with you, she didn't want to keep the pregnancy. The words don't land right. I hear them, but they don't make sense. She was 40, Patty continues. She had the boutique, she had Lauren in middle school, and she was finally feeling like herself again. And then she got pregnant. She called me crying. Said it felt like her life was ending just when it was supposed to begin. Your father talked her into it. Said they could make it work, that another baby would be a blessing. She went through with it, but she never forgave him. Or you. I press my palm against my mouth, trying to hold something in. She tells everyone you're the surprise, Patty says gently. But what she told me, right after you were born, was that you were the mistake she had to make work. And she's been making you pay for it ever since. After we hang up, I sit in the dark for a long time. I think about every time my mother introduced me as our surprise baby at parties, at church, at family gatherings. I thought it meant I was unexpected but loved. Now I understand it meant something else entirely. It meant I was an inconvenience she'd learned to perform affection around. The next morning, I go to work early. Linda Morales finds me at my desk at 7:15, staring at my computer screen without seeing it. Emily? She sets a cup of coffee next to my keyboard. You okay? I want to lie. I'm excellent at lying, at performing okayness. But something in me is too tired. Family stuff. Linda nods slowly. She's 53, raised for kids, and has the kind of calm authority that comes from surviving real things. The kind of family stuff that makes you come in 2 hours early. The kind that makes me want to disappear. She sits in the chair next to my desk, which she never does. Linda is busy, always moving, always managing something. Her sitting means this is important. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to think I'm overstepping, she says. But I've known you for 3 years, Emily. You're the most competent person in this department. You're organized, you're calm in crisis, you anticipate problems before they happen. And every few months, you come in looking like someone punched you in the stomach, and you don't tell me why, but I can guess. I stare at the coffee cup. It's from the good coffee shop, not the break room. She went out of her way. I had a mother like yours, Linda says quietly. Not exactly the same, but close enough. Everything I did was wrong, or not enough, or proof I owed her something. I paid her bills for 10 years before I figured out she was using the money for casino trips. When I cut her off, she told everyone I'd abandoned her. Half my family stopped talking to me. How did you? I can't finish the question. I moved. Phoenix. Put 2,000 miles between us. She takes a breath. The Boise branch has an opening. Senior Administrative Coordinator position, same as yours here but with better pay. I already submitted your name as a recommendation. I look at her, unable to speak. I'm not telling you what to do, Linda says. I'm telling you that you have options. And that you're worth more than whatever story they've told you about yourself. That night, I open a new checking account at a different credit union across town. The next day, I transfer half my savings, $16,000. I leave the rest where it is, knowing they'll be watching that account, needing them to believe I'm still accessible. I request my birth certificate, social security card, and passport from my parents' attic, claiming I need them for a work certification. My mother makes a show of how disorganized I am for not knowing where my own documents are, but she gives them to me. I research Boise on my lunch breaks. Average rent. Cost of living. Distance from Ohio, 1,600 miles. I look at studio apartments in neighborhoods with names I can't pronounce yet. I imagine waking up somewhere nobody knows my mother's version of who I am. I apply for the Boise position on a Wednesday. I get the interview request on Friday. I use a sick day the following Tuesday and fly out for an in-person interview, telling my family I have the flu. The office is smaller than the Dayton branch, but the mountains are visible from the window, and nobody there knows I'm at the surprise or not good with money or any of the other things I've been told I am. They offer me the position before I board my return flight. I accept. For 2 weeks, I do everything quietly. I sign a lease on a studio apartment in North End, paying 3 months upfront for my new account. I book a one-way flight. I arrange for my car to be shipped. I pack my apartment bit by bit, telling my landlord I'm not renewing my lease, giving him a forwarding address in Boise that my family doesn't know exists. Jake Turner from IT helps me pack on a Saturday, bringing boxes and packing tape and asking no questions beyond a "where should this go?" He's been at the company for 5 years, and we've had maybe 20 real conversations. But when I mentioned I was moving and my family couldn't help, he showed up at 8 in the morning with coffee and offered his truck. "You don't have to do this," I tell him as we load boxes. "I know," he says. "But you shouldn't have to do it alone either." It's such a simple thing, but I have to turn away so he doesn't see me cry. The final Sunday dinner happens 11 days before my flight. I dress carefully, something nice but not too nice. I want to look put together, not defensive. I bring flowers for my mother, wine for my father. I act normal. My mother has cooked roast chicken, my childhood favorite. There's apple pie for dessert. Everything is warm and perfect and suffocating. Halfway through the meal, she brings up the investment again. "We really need an answer, Emily." The seller is getting impatient. "I've been thinking about it a lot," I say carefully. "And?" Lauren prompts. "I want to help. Really, I do." I watch my mother's face soften slightly. "But I think the best way I can help is by giving you something better than money." My mother frowns. "What does that mean?" I reach into my purse and pull out an envelope. Inside is a letter I've rewritten 17 times. I place it on the table between us. "I'm moving," I say. "To Idaho. I start a new job in 2 weeks." The silence is enormous. "You're what?" Lauren's voice is sharp. "I got a promotion. Better pay, better opportunities. It's time for me to start building my own life." My mother's face has gone very still. "You already accepted?" "Yes." "Without discussing it with us?" "I'm 29 years old," I say, and my voice is steadier than I expected. "I don't need permission." "This is about the money," my mother says flatly. "You're running away because you don't want to help your family." "I'm leaving because I need to," I correct. The letter explains everything. Lauren grabs the envelope and tears it open. She reads quickly, her expression shifting from confusion to anger. "You think we've financially abused you? Are you serious right now?" "I think I've been paying for being born my entire life," I say. "And I'm tired." My mother stands abruptly, her chair scraping back. "After everything we've done for you. After we raised you, supported you, loved you. Did you?" The question comes out quietly, but it stops her. "Did you love me, Mom? Or did you resent me?" "Because Aunt Patty told me about the phone call. The one when you found out you were pregnant. The one where you said your life was ending." Her face goes white. She had no right. She had every right. Because I had a right to know why my own mother has been punishing me since I was born. I stand too, my legs shaking but holding. "I forgive you. I do. But I'm done financing your resentment. I'm done being the surprise that ruined your plans. I'm done owing you for existing." "Emily." My father speaks for the first time all evening. "Please." I look at him, this man who has been silent for 29 years while his wife turned his daughter into a debt to be collected. "Please what, Dad? Please stay so you don't have to acknowledge what's been happening? Please keep paying so you can keep pretending everything is fine?" He doesn't answer. I pick up my purse and walk to the door. Behind me, Lauren is saying something about lawyers, about filial responsibility, about how I can't just leave. My mother is calling me selfish, ungrateful, cruel. At the door, I turn back. The letter has my attorney's information. If you need to contact me, go through them. Your attorney? My mother's voice is incredulous. I'm protecting myself, I say. The way I should have years ago. My father walks me to my car. It's dark now, the streetlights casting long shadows across the driveway where I learned to ride a bike, where Lauren taught me to roller skate, where we took family photos that looked perfect to everyone else. I'm sorry, he says, and his voice cracks. I should have protected you. Yes, I agree. You should have. Be safe, he whispers. It's the kindest thing he's said to me in years, and it's still not enough. They show up at my apartment 2 days later, but I'm already gone. I left the day after our dinner, unable to spend another moment in the same city with them. Jake told me later they came to the office too, demanding to speak to Linder, threatening to file complaints. Linder calmly informed them that my employment was confidential information and they needed to leave. They call my cell phone 4 to 7 times before I change my number. They email. They message me on every social media platform I have before I deactivate them all. Lauren sends a letter to my new address. I don't know how she got it, claiming they're taking legal action. My attorney, a kind woman named Rachel Chen who specializes in family law, sends them a cease and desist letter. She explains that filial responsibility laws in Ohio are complex and rarely enforced, and that I have extensive documentation of financial coercion. They back down. Boise is cold when I arrive in November. My studio apartment is on the 2nd floor of a converted house, with hardwood floors and a window that faces east. On my first morning, I watch the sunrise over the mountains and drink coffee I bought without calculating whether I could afford it. The silence feels profound. No demands. No emergencies. No guilt hovering in the corner like a third presence. The job is harder than in Dayton, more responsibility, more complexity, but Linder was right about the pay. I can afford groceries without anxiety. I can buy new towels because I want them, not because the old ones have disintegrated. I open a savings account at a local credit union and watch it grow slowly, steadily, without anyone else's knowledge or expectation. I start therapy in January. Dr. Natalie Shore has an office in a renovated warehouse downtown, with exposed brick and plants everywhere. In our first session, she asks me why I'm there. I need to figure out if I made a mistake, I tell her. Leaving? Existing, I say, and then I start crying. It takes months to unpack everything. The parentification. The financial abuse disguised as family obligation. The scapegoating. The way my mother's resentment shaped me into someone who apologized for breathing. Dr. Shore is patient. She never tells me what to feel. She just helps me locate the feelings that have been there all along, buried under layers of guilt and duty. In March, I get a promotion. Not because I'm owed it, not because anyone feels sorry for me, but because I'm good at my job. My supervisor, a man named David Chen who reminds me of a more decisive version of my father, tells me I have strategic thinking he rarely sees in coordinators. He asks if I've ever considered management training. I make friends slowly. There's Mara, who works in billing and invites me to her book club. There's Tom and Jessie, a couple who run the community garden where I start volunteering on Saturdays. They teach me about soil composition and seed starting, and they never ask about my family. When I finally tell them I don't talk to my parents, Jessie just nods and says, "A year, some families are like that," and then asks if I want to help plant tomatoes. The nightmares start in April. In them, I'm back at that oak table, and my mother is asking for money, and I'm reaching into my chest to give her pieces of myself. I wake up gasping, disoriented, before I remember where I am. The mountains outside my window. The space that belongs only to me. The nightmares gradually become less frequent. In May, my mother sends a letter. Not through my attorney, directly to my apartment. I don't know how she got the address this time. Maybe Lauren hired someone. Maybe my father gave it to her. It doesn't matter. The letter is handwritten, 6 pages long. She tells me my father needs a medical procedure. She says the insurance won't cover all of it. She says they need help, and family helps each other, and she's sorry if she ever made me feel unwanted, but that was never her intention. She says she doesn't recognize me anymore, that I've become someone cold and selfish. She says she loves me. She signs it a mom. I read it 3 times. Then I call Dr. Shore, even though it's a Saturday. She's not entirely wrong, I tell her. I don't recognize myself either. Is that bad? Dr. Shore asks. I don't know. I look in the mirror sometimes and I don't see the person I used to be. I see someone harder. Someone who says no. Someone who protects herself instead of protecting everyone else. And I think maybe that person is who I was supposed to be all along. I write back. A short letter, 3 sentences. I hope Dad recovers. I can't come back. I wish you well. I don't tell her about the promotion. I don't tell her about the friends I'm making or the savings account that's growing or the way I'm learning to exist without apologizing for it. That's not her business anymore. The guilt comes and goes. Some days I'm certain I did the right thing. Other days I lie awake wondering if I'm a terrible daughter, if I owe them more, if blood really is supposed to mean unconditional financial support. Dr. Shore says this is normal. She says untangling yourself from a lifetime of conditioning doesn't happen cleanly. She says healing isn't linear. In September, almost a year after I left, I celebrate my 30th birthday with Mara, Tom, Jesse, and 3 other people from the community garden. We have cake at my apartment, which I've slowly filled with furniture that I chose, artwork that I bought, plants that I'm learning to keep alive. Someone gives me a succulent in a ceramic pot shaped like a mountain. Someone else gives me a book about boundary setting, which makes everyone laugh because apparently I've been recommending it to people. My savings account has $15,000 in it. I'm contributing to a retirement fund. I'm taking an online course in healthcare management. I'm building a life that's mine. That night, after everyone leaves, I sit by my window and watch the city lights. My phone buzzes. A message from a number I don't recognize. I almost delete it, but something makes me open it. It's from a cousin. Melissa, my father's brother's daughter. I haven't spoken to her since I was a teenager. The message is long and rambling and desperate. She says her parents have been pressuring her to help with their business debt. She says they want access to her accounts. She says she found my attorney's name through some family gossip and she looked me up and she's sorry to bother me but she doesn't know what to do. I stare at the message for a long time. Then I call her. You don't owe them, I tell her. I know they've told you that you do. I know they've made you feel guilty for having something they need. But you don't owe anyone for being born. You don't owe anyone for the crime of existing. She's crying. But they're family. So are you, I say. You're family too. To yourself. And sometimes protecting yourself means disappointing people who think they own you. We talk for an hour. I give her Dr. Shore's contact information and Rachel Chen's. I tell her about the cease and desist letter, about documentation, about opening accounts they can't access. I tell her about Boise, about starting over, about how terrifying and necessary it was. Are you happy? She asks finally. I think about the question. Am I happy? I have nightmares still. I have moments of crushing guilt. I have days when I miss the fantasy of what my family could have been, even though I don't miss what they actually were. I'm free, I tell her. And I'm learning what happiness looks like without fear attached to it. After we hang up, I realize something has shifted. 4 months, I've been the one rebuilding, relearning, recovering. Now I'm the voice I needed when I was sitting at that oak table, staring at scratches and wondering if I could ever be anything other than what they told me I was. I think about my mother's letter, about her saying she doesn't recognize me. She's right. I'm not the Emily who apologized for existing anymore. I'm not the Emily who paid and paid and paid, hoping it would eventually be enough. I'm not the Emily who believed she was incompetent because competent people threatened the story my family needed to tell. I'm someone else now. Someone who owns furniture and knows how to grow tomatoes and says no without explaining why. Someone who has friends who don't need her to be small. Someone who's learning that love without freedom isn't love at all, it's just a prettier word for ownership. Outside my window, the mountains are dark shapes against a darker sky. Inside, my apartment is warm and quiet and mine. My savings account exists without anyone else's name on it. My phone has a number my mother doesn't know. My life is full of people I chose and who chose me back, not because they had to, not because blood demanded it, but because they wanted to. I don't know if my mother will ever understand what she did. I don't know if my father will ever acknowledge his silence. I don't know if Lauren will ever see me as anything other than selfish for refusing to fund their plans. But I know this: I am not the mistake my mother had to make work. I am not the accident that ruined her expansion deal. I am not the surprise that should have been sorry. I'm just Emily. Finally. And I'm learning that's enough.